You're going to grade your CBA for Module 9 and 10. Let's look at number 1. Which expression has a value that is less than the base of that expression? Remember, your base is the big number. This is your base, and this up here is your exponent. Okay, so we're looking for the one that when you find the answer, it's going to be smaller than what the base is. Let's look at A. A, when you take 2 times 2 times 2, you get 8. Is that smaller than the base 2? No, it's greater than. So it can't be A. Okay, 5, 6 twice. Times itself twice, not plus. Multiply. 5, 6 times 5, 6. 5 times 5 is 25, and 6 times 6 is 36. And that looks like it's bigger than 5, 6, but let's go ahead and multiply it. Is 25 36 less than 5, 6? We're going to compare it really quick. 6 times 25 is 100. Wait, is it 150? No. What am I doing? I'm thinking ahead. 25 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 3. Yeah, it's 150. And then 36 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry my 3. 5 times 3 is 15. That's 180. Okay, so when I took 5, 6 times 5, 6, when I squared it, my answer, the value, 2536, ended up being less than 5, 6. Remember, when you take a fraction times a fraction, you end up with a smaller number than what you started with. Usually in multiplication, your answer, your product is greater, it gets bigger, but not when you're working with fractions. You need to remember that when you multiply with a fraction, your answer is smaller than what you started with. Okay, number 2. Which operation should you perform first when you simplify that problem? This goes back to, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, do we have any parentheses? Yes, we do. All right here. So look inside your parentheses. Inside the parentheses where you do the work, you have to follow the order of operations also. So inside the parentheses, do you have any parentheses? No. Do you have any exponents? No. Do you have any multiplication or division? Yes, you do. 45 divided by 3. So in that step, you're going to divide first. Number 3, approximately, what should that say? The iPad copy did not come out very good. Approximately 4/5 of U.S. homeowners have a cell phone. What percent of homeowners do not have a cell phone? Okay, so if 4/5, 4 out of 5, do have a cell phone, what percent doesn't? So let's find out what fraction doesn't. Okay, if 4 out of 5 do, that means 1 out of 5 do not. And then let's change that to a percent. Okay, 1 to 5 is how many? Oh my goodness, what am I doing here? That 5 belongs down here. That's 1 to 5. This is part to total. And they want to know what percent. What percent is that? Okay, so 100 times 1 is 100. Okay, we cross multiply, and then what do? Divide. 100 divided by 5 is 20. 20% do not have a cell phone. The ratio of rock music to total CDs that Ella owns is, let me see, 25 to 40. 25 to 40. I guess the program that typed this is not compatible with the iPad. And Paulo has 50 rock music CDs. The ratio of rock music to total CDs in his collection is equivalent to the ratio of rock music to total CDs in Ella's. How many do they own altogether? So let's look at Ella's first. She'll be the given information. Okay, we're talking about rock music to total. And it said it's 25 to 40. And then Paulo has 50 rock music CDs. So where is that going to go? That's going to go here because we're talking about rock music. Now you can cross multiply. Okay, you get 2,000. And what do we do after we cross multiply? We divide by the number that has not been used yet. 25 goes into 208 times. I have 0 left over. I have a 0 that still needs to be written down. So 2,000 divided by 25 is 80. Okay, but the question is how many total CDs do they own altogether? Okay, so when you add hers and his, 40 plus 80, that is 120. Okay. I don't know, can you hear Ms. Moore talking? When it's real quiet in here, we can hear her, right? Gabriel saves 40% of his monthly paycheck for college. He earned $270 last month. How much money did Gabriel save for college? Oh, you know what? I wanted to go back and talk about the number 4. If you can see that this doubles 25 to 50, that's just 25 times 2, then you can take 40 times 2, and you get 80. We don't always get nice, friendly numbers like that, but you could have used it then. But cross, multiply, and divide will work every single time. Okay, back to number 5. Gabriel has saved part of his money. Part and total. When we're talking about percent, we're talking about part and total. So he saved 40%. We know the numerator and denominator there. So there's your given, 40. And what's your denominator on a percent? 100. You guys all knew this on the day before the test. He earned $270 last month, which means that's the total amount he had. How much did he save for college? That's his part. Okay, so 270, we're going to cross multiply. 270 times 40, you're doing this on your paper too. 8, 9, 10. And then we're going to divide by 100, and I'm going to do it the quick way. Divide by 100. For every 0 I have in the numerator, I can take off 1 in the denominator. There's another one. Okay, and that leaves me with 108 over 1, which any number over 1 is just itself. So that's 108. That's how much he saved out of that $270. Okay, 40 children from an after-school club went to a matinee. This is 25% of the children in the club. How many children are in the club? WGU table. We're talking about part and total. Okay, so 40 children went to the matinee, which is 25%. We don't know how many there are, but 40 of them went. Anytime you have a percent, that's your given because you know the numerator is 25, the denominator is a 100. And it says 40 children, this is 25%. So that's going to go up there on the same row as 25. And now we're going to cross multiply 100 times 40. Okay, you have 4 times 1, which is 4. And then you have 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. That was the fast way to multiply times 100. And now you're going to divide by 25 because we cross multiply and divide. Okay, so 25 into 4 doesn't go. 25 into 40, it goes one time. We have 15 left over. Bring down the next number. 25 goes into 150 6 times, which is exactly 150. 0 leftovers. Bring down the next 0. 25 goes into 0 times. So that number is 160. Isaiah answered 43 of the 50 questions on his mathematics test correctly, which decimal represents the fraction of problems he answered incorrectly. So he got 43 out of 50 correct. That would make 7 out of 50 incorrect. Okay. Now, that's the fraction. How do we change that to a decimal? That strategy is TIBO. So top in, bottom out. Okay, 50 doesn't go into 7. We add a decimal and a 0. 50 into 70, it goes once. We have 20 left over. Add a 0, bring it down. Now we have 200 down there. 50 into 200 is 14 hundredths. Jen bought some tortillas. The ratio of the number of corn tortillas to the number of flour tortillas that she bought is 1 to 3. Find the decimal equivalent to the fraction of flour tortillas out of the total. So if the ratio of corn to flour is 1 to 3, that means 1 corn, 3 flour. Okay, then we need the decimal that's equivalent to the fraction of the flour out of the total. How many were flour? 3 were flour. And what was the total? 4. You had 1 corn and 3 flour. That's 4. And then we need the decimal for this. So that's TIBO. 3 divided by 4. 4 doesn't go into 3. 4 goes into my decimal and 0. 4 into 30. It's still 3, but we're going to treat it like it's a 30. Go 7 times, which is 28. We have 2 left over. Add a 0, bring it down. And that's 5. So you should have gridded in 75 hundredths. There was your decimal and then your 75. Which expression shows the prime factorization of 100? Okay, I can eliminate any answer that has a composite number in it. 10 is composite. 3 of those have a 10 in it. So by elimination, A is my answer. Let's go ahead and do a factor tree for 100. 2 times 50. 2 is prime. 50 is composite. And then 2 times 25. 2 is prime. 25 is composite. And that's 5 times 5. And that's prime. So 2 times 2 times 5 times 5, which is 2 squared times 5 squared. Okay, which number has only 2 factors? If it only has 2 factors, then it must be 1 and itself, which makes it a prime number. That's the definition of prime. 21, you have 1 times 21, but then you also have 3 times 7. 23 is just 1 and 23, so it's the prime number. 27 is 1 times 27 and 3 times 9. And 25 is 1 times 25 and 5 times 5. So G is the only prime number. Which expression is equivalent to 3 6/10 times itself 4 times? Which one would that be? That would be this right here, D. That is supposed to be a little 4. 3 6/10 and then a little exponent. Okay, number 12. Allison raised 10 to the 5th power. Then she divided it by 100. What's the quotient? Okay, so 10 to the 5th power means 10, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not equal to 50. This is 100 times 10, which is 1,000, times 10, which is 10,000 times 10, which is 100,000. If you don't want to multiply it or you can't think that way, all these tens is just 1, 1. And then how many zeros do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 100,000. Now we're going to divide it by 100. And you can use a shortcut here too. For every 0 you have in the top, you can take out 1 in the bottom. Just like that. Now, my answer is going to be the zeros I haven't knocked out yet. 1,000. Here's your grading scale, so you can write your own grade on your paper.